Kokanee are salmon. They're the landlocked freshwater version of sockeye. So when they're in the lakes, they're silver and a little bit of a blue tint on top. They live 2 to 3 years, at least in these systems, before they spawn and die. When they come in and they're mature to spawn, they run up into these spawning areas in the gravels and spend a few weeks in here. That's when they turn this really bright red color. And then as the spawning stages progress, they start to get soft and lose their skin tissue and become, quote, zombie fish, where they're still alive but barely, and their life cycle is such that they just die and replenish the area with nutrients after they spawn out. That's their whole life cycle. And then what we do is we just go between these vertebrae where they connect. So now you've got one segment here, and we're gonna put that underneath the black light here. And I'm gonna look in there and see, gotta do a little adjusting so that it illuminates well. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's pretty bright.
In Montana FWP's lab, staff examines the spines of Kokanee salmon under a black light. When the spines glow, it signals they came from the hatchery after receiving antibiotic feed that protects the fish's health. The feed deposits in their bone structure, creating this glow.
A couple of reasons that we want to know which ones are wild fish and which ones are hatchery fish. First of all, they're all non-native. They were planted decades ago by the state. So wild just meaning that they were produced in the stream from the lake fish going up to spawn. Hatchery meaning they were produced in the hatchery. So we want to know the difference because A, we want to know the success of our stocking. We want to know if it's efficient so that we're not wasting fish by throwing them in there and not seeing returns on the back end. Mainly for anglers. I mean, these fish are in there for people to catch. That's why they're in the lake. The other reason is we want to see how much natural reproduction is occurring. So one side of it could be how successful our plant is. The other side of it could be that the stream itself is very good spawning habitat and produces a lot of fish, and we might not need to stock that as much as other lakes. So that's kind of how we use this data to inform how many fish we're putting in there and how well they're doing from hatchery to the lake system.
So the kokanee we have here are the ones, the fish that this hatchery is responsible for stocking. And most of them are within a couple hundred miles of Rose Creek Hatchery, which is right near Big Fork, Montana.
In the early 1900s, a remarkable transformation began in the waters of Montana's Flathead County. Here, kokanee salmon were first introduced to Flathead Lake. Today, these fish are distributed throughout the western half of the state. These fish are prized not only as challenging sport fish, but also for their delicious red fillets.
The state of Washington is probably most likely the origin of kokanee in Montana. Lake Chelan in particular was a pretty close source for these fish and eggs, and probably established most of the wild populations in the state of Montana. Kokanee are one of those fish that do not do well in a river system. That's another interesting thing about them. Since they rely on a tiny food source, there's not a lot of plankton available in river systems. They are not built for rivers and streams. They spawn in rivers and streams mostly, but they are not built to put on weight in one. And typically, right after a kokanee emerges out of the gravels, it's going to find out there's no food there, and they might gain a little bit of weight in the stream as they drift on down to the lake, but they evolved to drift into a lake as a small fish, and that's where they put on their weight, and that's what evolution set them up to do. That's where their plankton is.
Oh yeah, the grizzlies know where the salmon are.
Biannual kokanee sampling occurs during late spring and fall collection periods. Through electrofishing and analysis of the kokanee spines, Montana FWP is able to understand population estimates, monitor kokanee health metrics, and demographic trends across Montana's waters.
Kokanee salmon are a landlocked version, freshwater version of sockeye salmon. They don't get nearly as big typically because they are landlocked and live in a lake. Those sockeye have access to the ocean and grow much larger. They can get large in lakes, but around here we're looking at anywhere between 10, 13, 14 inches, depending on where you go. But they're a really highly prized food item. They smoke up just like a salmon.
To take care of these animals at this really early life stage is, there's a lot of art to it, and we think about it a lot, how we can do our jobs best we can in a stress-free environment, in a very, very unnatural place. So we can be on schedule to get them into the water body when those water bodies are ready and there's food available then to them. It's our life though, and pretty unique situation when you have sometimes a couple million eyeballs on you. And I'm not talking about the public wondering what we're doing. I'm talking about the animals in our care.
For more information on kokanee in Montana, visit fwp.mt.gov. And remember, the outside is in us all.